Alright, welcome back. Hope everyone's having a lovely day, a lovely night wherever you're from. And real quick before we get started, as always, I want to give a lovely shout out to the channel members on this channel. So thank you so much to these lovely commanders here that you see on screen. Thank you guys so much for your guys' constant generosity and support to me as always. It really means a lot to me, so thank you guys so much. If you guys are actually interested in becoming a lovely commander yourself, if you are interested in any of these cute and lovely emotes, loyalty crown badges, if you want a special role in the Discord, make sure to join the Discord. But as always, if you choose to do so, thank you so much. Just remember, that's not the only way that you can support me. Just watching the content like you are right now. It's really the best way. Liking, subscribing, and commenting. Everything really does help, so thank you guys so much. And for today's video, before we get started, I just want to give a massive thank you to all of you for supporting my latest video when it came to the closed beta test discussion for Anchor Panic. I honestly didn't expect that video to get much support just because it's so different compared to my usual Nikke content. But I was surprised by it because it's actually doing pretty well. And I just want to say thank you. A lot of people were saying that they wanted to see more stuff like that going forward. And I always want to try new gachas and stuff, especially since I'm trying to find a new rotation. So I'm going to be doing another closed beta test as well that I got into for a game called Kalido's Rider, which is like a motorcycle gacha game. Really actually excited for that one. And I'm also excited for Chaos Zero Nightmare. So there's a few things that I'm looking forward to. So expect another CBT coming up in the future. But for now, we are going to be talking about Aid, because her tier list consensus is finally up. So I'm going to be talking about Prydwen and Lootin' Waifus by Sephi. This is definitely be more of a chill video and just kind of yapping. So just like sit back and let's talk about it. So let me scoot on over and let's put it on screen right here. And as always, we are at Prydwen.gg and we're focusing on the tier list consensus for Aid. And we're going to sort by high deficit for now, because I honestly don't understand low deficit, especially on Prydwen. It doesn't really make sense to me. I feel like you can just have like normal like deficit bossing and then PvP. I think it's fine. But Aid is in the meta category, which is great. She is actually SS in low deficit, story high deficit is an S, bossing is SS, and then PvP is B tier. Let's talk about the pros and cons of why she ended up in that tier list consensus, but I agree with it. She is a really solid unit. I was really happy with it. She is a strong B2 and competitor to Mari and Grave, generally better than Mari but can be situationally worse than Grave. We've talked about this in my testing video when it came to some of the results. Definitely like extremely well in the electric team against Mari. She actually raised a lot of the stats, so that was really great. Against Grave is kind of a question mark because depending on if there's Pierce, Grave will do better. But overall, she is really good. So I'm really happy to see this. And then attack buff can be permanent as long as a valid target exists and does not turn on and off like Mari's. But they also say that it's important to note that Mari has a higher value with that. And then we don't have a strong standalone Iron B2 buffer yet other than Crown. You can be slotted in any team as a regular or peer support B2, helping break Iron, QTE, and such, which is true because of her attack buffs that she gives the team. She's great. A large portion of her buff is attack damage and is not pierce, making her universal, which is true. All buffs can be active starting the first second if a valid target immediately exists, not reliant on core like Mari, and is therefore more reliable since Shift Up has been stingy with core. That is true. Mari does rely on hitting core shots, which can always be a hit or miss. And then she herself has Pierce, which means she has better burst gen than ordinary sniper rifles when hitting multiple hit spots. And she's currently one of the best Tetra Tower B2 in the game because Tetra needs help. And then she's breathtakingly hot, the bunny we have been waiting for. Gift Up was truly hiding the assets behind her maid costume. It was true. We already knew she was stacked from the look. Alright, let's be real here. But there are some cons, so let's talk about it. Because there is no AoE support like Mari with her burst, or burst gen support like Grave, full damage focus. So that's the one thing that you have to be careful for when you're trying to compare. Like Mari's still gonna have her use case because her AoE is really helpful, and Grave, still really solid Pilgrim. And there may be cases when there is no enemy within her effective range at all, deactivating her skill 1 and skill 2 buffs, which is true because of the whole effective range gimmick that she has. No heals or survival aiding combined with the lack of AoE or burst gen to take down missiles or accelerate shield rebuilds. Surviving can be tricky, so you have to use cover effectively, which is why like there's also the idea of having her on like the no heal shotgun team. Caster's attack buffs mean her base attack stats matter. Prepare to level up equipment, dolls and cubes, dupes and bonds also matter. It's minor, however, just an ordinary B2 buffer in PvP, and it's really hard to concentrate on the stage with her shooting pose. Yeah, dude, she has a whole bakery. Overall, for once, I'm actually like in a pretty good agreement here. But I will say it's funny because I saw her tier list consensus, but there was also a change with how it works. And Vesty is now in SSS tier, which brings up the whole like triple S drama from before with like Oscar Wave 1, which I thought was funny. But there is a bit of a question mark here because the idea here is that in a higher deficit tower, she's going to do a lot better. But I feel like SS would be even a better category for that because putting her in the same position as like usefulness when it comes to like Rappy Red Hood or Alice is like crazy to me. But that's just me because I always have to shit on like Prydwen somewhere. I'm sorry. But with Prydwen out the way, let's talk about loot and waifus. And loot and waifus is strictly just a PvE tier list, which is fine since mostly this channel focuses on PvP. If you want to look at PvP content, there are other content creators, or in the comments when there are some PvP buffers out there that want to talk. But he also changed the whole tier list, which I actually like. It's more clean. And there is flexible meta with alternatives, and then there are good units. And as you can see from the alternatives, Aid is here at tier 1, which is great. She is a really solid unit. And I actually think this is a really solid change. The pros, pretty cheap buffer to build that works everywhere thanks to her burst giving 55% at level 10. This is why when I did the tier list video, I also had my burst at 10. I actually upgraded it from 7 to 10 just because I thought it was really great. And she's become one of the strongest period buffers in the game if you can maintain her minimum effective range on stacks with her skill 1 and burst. However, on some stages you might need to manual to properly apply pierce buffs depending on how far the enemies are and how many stacks she had. Even with investment, her own personal damage is not that good, which is true. She is not that great. She is mostly there to help the team. And then skill 1 for scaling is pretty awful. I did say that from 4 to 7 you really don't see much change. So honestly, 4-4 like 7, 4-4 10, or if you want you could go 7-7 like 7 if you want. But honestly, I don't see it being that worth it for the skill 1 or skill 2, but that's just me. Overall, when it comes down to the actual consensus, testing, and everything for Aid, I think they did her justice. For once, someone who came from NPC jail and who got an ult turned out really, really great. And we only have till Wednesday to see about Milk, so I'm looking forward to that. She deserves some justice because I'm sorry, but the fact that tier 5 once again has Milk and Milk Treasure here is just so funny to me that they like dropped the ball twice on her. So if they do it 3 in a row, it's cooked, man. I feel bad for the Milk lovers out there who really just want to see her shine. I think they might do it now, though. That kid looks good in promise, but we'll have to see if it performs just as well. But that is going to be it from me. So I hope you guys have a lovely day, lovely night wherever you're from. And as always, thank you so much for the constant support. Take care, and have a good one.